Let's face it, almost all of us today lean on air conditioning to make it through the blistering summer months. When the heat hits, we crank that dial, reach for an icy drink, and hope to stay cool indoors. But here's a mind-blowing fact: Native American tribes have been living comfortably in some of the hottest, most unforgiving places on Earth for centuries without a single modern cooling gadget. No central AC, no fans, not even a cold soda from the fridge. And somehow, they thrived in conditions that would overwhelm most folks today. So what was their secret? How did they evade the punishing sun and sweltering days while staying not just alive, but active and healthy? It turns out the answer isn't hidden in some lost ancient technology, but right in plain sight, woven deep into their daily rituals, architecture, diet, and cultural wisdom. Let's start with something that might sound simple, but it was absolutely crucial: timing. The way they scheduled their days to work with, not fight against, the sun's heat was genius. They understood from experience that trying to battle the summer sun head-on was a recipe for disaster. So, rather than push through after sunrise like we often do, their physical labor started before dawn, in the cool, gentle light of early morning. It's kind of like getting a jump start on the day before reality hits full force. This wasn't a sign of laziness or dozing through morning like some might think. It was pure survival strategy. Heavy work done early meant avoiding deadly heatstroke and exhaustion during those brutal midday hours when the sun felt like it was aiming to cook everything in sight. From farming to hunting to toolmaking, they made the most of cool hours before the heat rose too high. And when that midday sun reached its peak, it was time to respect the day's sacred hours of rest and stillness. During these hottest hours, everyone slowed down. Dwellings were designed to stay shaded and ventilated, creating cool havens. People stayed inside or under natural shade, saving their strength for the cooler parts of the day. Even the toughest warriors knew better than to challenge the sun around noon. Instead, this time was reserved for low-energy activities, light crafting, storytelling, socializing, all done under protective shades that blocked the harsh sun rays. Trying to do anything strenuous at this time was like wrestling the sun, and spoiler alert, the sun always wins. As the afternoon shifted toward evening, and temperatures finally started to dip, the tribes did, too. Hunting and food preparation often moved to these cooler hours, long after the sun had begun its slow descent. Nomadic groups even embraced moving at night during the worst of summer months, navigating by stars and earthy landmarks. This wasn't easy. It required centuries of knowledge and practice to confidently find one's way in total darkness, but it was well worth it to avoid fatal heat exposure in daylight. Communal gatherings, ceremonies, and celebrations also flourished under the night sky when the air was cooler and safer. It's easy to imagine singing, dancing, and sharing stories at these times, creating bonds that outlasted the harsh summer days. Even the children learned early on how to listen to their bodies, knowing when to rest and what signals meant heat stress was coming. None of this was dictated by mechanical clocks or imposed schedules. Life was synced to the natural rhythm of the sun. Rising and falling temperatures marked the flow of their daily activities. This meant they were adaptable, ready to respond to unexpected heat waves or shifts in weather instantly. We could think of it as having an internal, perfectly tuned weather app, without a single line of code. But timing was just one piece of the puzzle. The homes they built were another kind of natural marvel. Think adobe houses made from thick walls of mud, straw, and sand, materials mixed through recipes handed down for generations. These walls were super effective at blocking heat during the day, keeping the interior refreshingly cool. When nighttime temperatures dropped, the walls slowly released that stored coolness. In many ways, these homes were nature's own air conditioners built long before electricity was a thing. And it wasn't just about walls. The flat roofs served multiple smart purposes, providing sleeping areas when the air cooled, drying food, and storing supplies away from ground moisture. Literally sleeping on your roof to escape the heat inside? Totally normal and incredibly practical. Some tribes lived in even more ingeniously cooled homes, like cliff dwellings carved into canyon walls where shade lasted most of the day. These homes featured small windows and minimal openings to block sunlight but allowed natural airflow. They painted their homes in light colors that bounced heat away rather than soaking it in, a trick still used in modern green architecture. Natural ventilation was key, with buildings designed to channel hot air up and out while pulling cooler breezes inside. During the hottest months, some groups would relocate temporarily to higher, breezier elevations for relief. This level of climate adaptation reveals an intimate knowledge of geography and weather systems that rival modern scientific understanding. Still, no matter how well a house was built, keeping your body cool meant more than just shelter. Food and hydration were frontline defenses against summer heat that could last for months. Native diets prioritized water-rich fruits like prickly pear, wild melons, and berries. These foods doubled as hydration and nutrition, almost like nature's own juice bar that never closes. They brewed herbal teas from cooling plants, like mint and elderflower, that actually help lower body temperature internally. Cold stews were prepared ahead of time and eaten cool during peak heat hours, avoiding extra heat generated by cooking. Drinks made from cornmeal mixed with cool water provided energy and hydration in one hit, kind of like ancient smoothies, but with life-saving benefits. Meal times were planned carefully to avoid heat exposure during preparation. Roots and juicy plants provided on-the-go hydration during travel. Heavy meals were avoided during hot spells because digesting big portions creates internal heat, like starting a fire in your belly when it's already boiling outside. Sharing meals in the shade kept sun exposure low and conserved energy. Hydration came both from food and drink, creating a powerful natural cooling system inside the body. Their smart eating habits were nature's equivalent of an internal air conditioner, running on fuel from the earth, not electricity. Clothing choices rounded out this survival system. Breathable, loose-fitting clothes made from natural fibers like cotton, plant fibers, and woven grass allowed air to flow freely. This prevented hot air from being trapped close to the skin like modern synthetic fabrics do. Wearing lighter, flowing garments acted like a personal ventilation system that moved with the wearer. People protected their skin from the sun with natural remedies, clay, ash, or mud smeared on exposed areas. These substances cooled through evaporation and created protective barriers, often working better than modern sunblock. Yes, it might have looked messy, but it was a free, effective cooling combo that no one needed a dermatologist to approve. Hairstyles also played a part. Short cuts or high braids reduced insulation around the head and neck, making heat escape easier. Elaborate braids also carried cultural significance, balancing tradition with practicality. Jewelry made from reflective shells or polished bone helped bounce the sun's rays, adding minimal weight but maximum cooling effect. Dressing lightly during summer was critical. Wearing heavy animal hides or thick materials in the desert heat was like putting on a winter coat to swim in tropical waters. Clothing changed with seasons and environmental challenges, always aligned to keep the body from overheating. Yet, even the best timing, shelter, food, and clothing weren't enough without careful environmental awareness. Native peoples were expert natural forecasters. They watched birds, reptiles, and early mornings for signs of incoming heat waves. Changes in plant scents or colors signaled shifts in temperature and water availability. Even tracking shadows and wind shifts helped them find cool spots and plan rest times. Animal trails often led to hidden springs or cooler microclimates. Following where animals went during the hottest parts of the day was a key survival strategy. Moss, lichen, and moist soil indicated underground water sources, while caves and rocky overhangs served as emergency shelters. Reading nature's signs was a lifelong skill, a constantly updated survival manual written by the land itself. This understanding came through years of observation, patience, and shared knowledge, sometimes making the difference between life and death. When heat waves hit hard, more than prediction was needed. That's where underground dwellings came into play. Semi-subterranean pit houses used the Earth's stable temperatures to stay cool regardless of external conditions. Living underground was like having a giant basement where the whole house stayed refreshingly cool all summer long. Sleeping on cool stone or soil surfaces helped reduce body heat at night when even outdoor air stayed hot. Food and water storage in shaded pits or buried jars kept supplies fresh for long stretches, vital when summer stretched on without relief. Natural dips and hollows in the landscape offered passive cooling for temporary shelters too, requiring zero maintenance. Earth absorbed heat slowly by day and released it steadily at night, acting like a giant thermal battery. Different soils and geography shaped how communities built and maximized these cooling effects. These ancient techniques weren't primitive but carefully crafted knowledge refined over generations. But here's the catch: you couldn't take the earth with you. So when moving, placement of settlements was no accident. Villages nestled near natural shade from trees like cottonwoods or sycamores, around canyon walls or river valleys to access steady cooling. Temporary shelters for nomads were carefully aligned to maximize airflow and shade during the hottest sun angles. These strategies were city planning with a natural air conditioning specialist, and they never messed up. Backup shelter zones let communities shift rapidly in response to sudden weather or heat emergencies. Shade wasn't just a quick fix, it was a key player in a far-reaching, integrated survival system. The magic was the combination: timing, architecture, nutrition, clothing, environmental reading, ground cooling, and shelter location all worked together seamlessly. This system let entire civilizations thrive in heat conditions that would shut us down even with all our modern technology. In the end, these incredible methods remind us that sometimes, the most powerful climate control system isn't a machine, it's the wisdom we inherit and the way we listen to the world around us.